Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Tony from SB Recording Studio. As you guys can see, I got a new desk, a new setup, new workflow, much better than my old one. So today, I would like to share something with you guys. I'm not really a virtual instrument kind of guy, right? You guys also saw my videos. I usually like to record live drums, live guitars. So I'm actually working on a little YouTube project with a friend of mine. Her name is Fatima Radix. So I decided to do the drums on this one virtual. There wasn't a lot going on in the song, just snare, drum, kick drum, hi-hat. So I decided to try my hand at virtual instruments. So I used Impact XT and I started playing with it. So I did my kick drum track and my snare track. It actually needed a crash in there. And I went through the whole Impact XT sample library and I didn't quite get the crash that I wanted. So what I decided to do is I decided to record my own crash. So I went ahead, I put my condenser microphone on my crash and I recorded the crash that I wanted, the dark crash that I wanted. From there I went and I dropped it inside an audio file. And I put the crashes where I wanted. It sounded great. But then I said to myself, I go, how about if I try to put that recorded crash into my Impact XT and use it as a sample. I did some research and I was able to do that, and I discovered much more through Impact XT. Then what I'm doing is pulling out an old recording. I pulled out a kick drum, a snare drum, a tom, and a hi-hat from there, and from there I dropped them inside Impact XT and I saved it as a preset. And from there I had my own recorded drums on Impact, which was awesome. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that, to use your own set that you have at home and put it inside Impact XT so you can use your actual recording as samples to Impact XT. So I'm going to first show you guys how to pull out the sample and then how to drop it inside Impact XT and how to quickly use Impact XT. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm probably going to do another video only on Impact XT on its own. I'm going to roughly show you guys how to do it. So without any hesitation, let's jump into Presonus Studio One. So here we are inside Studio One. As I said to you guys, we're going to first pull out the sample of the drum recording, and then from there we're going to go put it inside Impact XT, and then from there we're going to create our own beat with our own recorded drums, but through Impact XT. This is a pretty straightforward drum recording, so let's have a quick listen to it, see what it sounds like. So this is pretty straightforward. So now let's do the kick drum actually on its own. So we're going to try to pick a sample that doesn't have a lot of bleed. So this guy should be good right here, between here and here. So as you guys know, Presonus has the ability to pick where to start and end a recording. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to actually use these markers to actually pull the samples out that we need. So what I like to do is I like to zoom in all the way in. And then I like to put in the white bar. It's very important that when you guys pull the sample, to actually start right at the beginning of the waveform, because if you start a little earlier, let's say here, because when you come to drop your sample inside Impact XT and then use it in your drum track, there's going to be a small delay. The hit won't be exactly where you positioned the drum hit inside Impact XT. So we'll go as close as possible to the actual hit over here. That's pretty good. That looks good like that. So we're going to go to the end of it, which is about right here. We could see it here. So we're going to put our end marker right here, like so. We zoom in, make sure that the end marker is at the right spot, like this. And now we should have our sample for our kick drum. So since this track is soloed on its own and it's between here and here, we're only going to sample this kick drum right here. So we're going to go here, export mix down. We're going to call this kick drum. We're going to send this to the desktop between start and end, and boom, we have our kick drum here. So to speed things up, I kind of already created some samples on my own: hi-hat, a kick, a snare, and a tom. So we are inside a fresh session of Studio One. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start by opening our Impact XT by dropping it right there. This is default. Usually there's nothing in any pads. Actually, I like to set all my things to mono here. So we have to make sure that our input here is set to mono right here, and one stereo track. I'm going to show you guys these a little later on with roll display. So so right here, we're going to start by doing replace our hat sample. I usually like to use replace. So we're going to put our kick drum here. Then we're going to put our snare drum here. Then we're going to put our tom here. And then we're going to put our hi-hat here. So if we all take a listen, that's a little samples that I pulled out of my recordings that you guys saw earlier, right? So, okay, so now we have that. So we're going to go here, open up our window here. And then as you can see here, now we have another window that shows my kick, my snare, my tom, and my hi-hat. These could also be used through a MIDI controller, or you could just use your mouse and just put them in there. So let's create a beat here, right? So we're going to put a snare here. Whoop, right, put it right here like that, and then we're gonna make these loop. We're gonna go like this from here to here. We're gonna loop these up, right? So right, so you could put this up there, and then we can actually add a little hi-hat in here, right? Like this. So you actually created your own drum loop with your own personal recording. Now, another way that we could do this is you could also use patterns, right? So if you hold Alt and you double click on here, we have this pattern now that actually comes in, and we could do the same thing like this. It's just now like it becomes an easier way to kind of enter your little, right? Like this, and then we could, let's say we could, then we play them exactly the same. It's just that it's patterns and it's a bit easier. So we could actually, let's say, like, I don't know, let's try to put a tom here, right? And another tom here, right? So if you want to put this back to linear, because this is pattern, linear was the format that we worked on before. Just highlight the track, hit G, and then you're back to linear mode, and then you can move things around. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to show you guys what these are all about. Okay, so let's add a couple of, let's say, 4 mono tracks right here. As you guys are going to see here, okay, inside the mix window, we're actually going to have 4 mono tracks and 1 stereo track. So these tracks here match what I checked on over here: 1 stereo track, 4 mono tracks. So the reason why you do this is actually Impact XT allows you to mix each each sample on its own without having 5-6 files here. So let's say we have this one here. We want the kick to be on the mono 1, right? That's where it is, and we want and then we want the snare to be on mono 2. Then we want these ones on mono 3 and this one on mono 4. So as you're going to see, when you play the track, each one is individual. So then you could go ahead and name them at the bottom, right? So we know that this is our kick drum because mono 1 is our kick drum. M1 says here, so we're going to name it kick, and so on like that. M2 is our snare drum. And then we have our tom over here. And then we have our famous hi-hat, right? Oh, spelled that one wrong. Hi-hat, here we go. So these are gonna be mono tracks here, right? So now let's say you wanna put the snare on a stereo track. So we're gonna go like this. We're gonna use stereo 1, right? Because it's there. I'm gonna play it. Now the snare is playing on the stereo track. So this actually allows you to mix each individual samples that are inside this recording, as I said, without having 5-6 of them in a row, which is awesome for Impact XT. Since I discovered this, it is amazing. I've been playing with this for the past couple of days now. It's awesome. And I actually had another issue. Funny to say. So I also used this because through a song I needed some finger snap. So I went and I found some free wave file on the internet about finger snap, and I actually put it right in here, and it's right here, finger snap, and right. So now we can actually go put finger snap if we want in here. Look, and as I said, and we could set this to, we have our mono. So let's set this back to the mono 2, which is our snare drum, and let's put this inside mono 5, right? So let's check. Yeah, mono 5 is there. We're gonna call this finger snap, sorry. And we're gonna go add it to our own little pattern here. So let's put a finger clap at every right here and right here. Let's see how this sounds like. See? And now if we go back to our window, each individual tracks are there. Control, bring it back up to all and each individual track is there. So the first stereo track is always the one that's going to be colored to match the one on top, and then you could go ahead and just color the other ones to match that one, whatever your heart desires, right? And once you create all this, you could actually save this as a preset, right? So you say store preset, and then you could call it personal drums, let's say, all right? So now it is stored as personal drums, and you could come back to it anytime you want, use it, use that one or use another one. That one will always be there at the end. If you go back to personal drum set, it should be in there. There it is, personal drums, and then you're back here. So I hope this helped you guys out. I invite you guys to go ahead and record every single piece of your drums. Go ahead and create your own personal drums inside Impact XD. I'll see you guys very soon.